Lord help us. I'm looking at you because I know you did this. I know you chewed on this microphone and that's why its little wig won't stay on anymore. Hi kids, welcome back to another pizza party. I'm Mrs. Pizza and this is a reading vlog. Right now Winnie is right here being the sweetest good girl ever and Cheese is over there because she's taking a nap after all the destruction that Habeck she reaps upon us. We are starting another reading vlog, and this one, because my last one, I went into it with so much intention and planning and literally could not complete any sort of thing. And I realize now that my brain is too spicy for that right now. We're just gonna let things happen. I'm a moody mood reader. We're gonna pick up books that speak to us in that moment. If they stop speaking to us, we're gonna put them down. We're gonna be kind to ourselves because reading slumps are not our friends. They're always waiting in the wings, trying to ruin it. Trying to ruin it. And I just don't want them here. So I'm going to pick up books that I feel like reading. And then I'm going to read them. This is ridiculous. I have big plans. I have to decorate the outside of my house for Halloween this week because we've officially reached the time of year where it is not weird to have your Halloween decorations outside. Everyone in my neighborhood did it so early. And I was just like holding out because I was like, no, it's too early. You can't do it yet. And then I would walk down the street and see like a 20-foot skeleton. And I was like, but they did it. I want to do it. It's time. I can do it. I'm going to get out all my Halloween decor. We're going to see what we can put up and what kind of needs to go into the trash can because it's had one too many Halloweens. So we got to do a purge of some Halloween decorations. I also need to clean out the garden because we have reached the end of the gardening time for everything that's in there. My tomatoes are just full of disease and need to come out. So does everything else. But we've started some seedlings and we're going to start putting some fall stuff in. And I'm just going to live my best life because I can, because I can. The current books that I am reading right now, I don't think I'm currently reading anything on my ebook, so I can scroll through my library, see if anything tickles my fancy. I am currently in the middle of one physical book, but I don't think I want to pick that one up. And I have several audiobooks that are going, and I don't know which one I want to finish. Lord help me. Please don't bark. I hope that your brain doesn't feel like it's full of olive oil right now like mine does. Just really slow and sludgy. It's real nice. I'll check back in with you when I make some sort of decision about something. How about that? When I do something, I'll tell you about it. Using the aluminum foil. I know how much you hate that. Okay. Hello. I hope you can hear me because I'm not going to be holding my microphone. It is going to be living on my shirt collar. Don't touch that. Why are you always trying to murder yourself? Jeez Louise. All right. I have to get ready for work. I need to do my hair. But I thought since I'm going to be doing this anyways, let's do a little uppy date. Sometimes, girl. Let's do a little update on what I've decided to read. So I have picked up for my audiobook, I decided to go with Mr. Magic, which I believe is by, is it Kristen White or Kirsten White? Starts with a K. It has an amazing cover, by the way. And I have gotten about 20% in. My hold came through the library, through the Libby app, and I just like blasted through the first 20%. So I can give you a little synopsis of what this is about. So we start off our story with Val, and she lives on a horse ranch, has lived there since she was a very young child. It doesn't sound like she actually gets paid. She just like volunteers her time and works there and then lives on the property. And you find out pretty quickly that she was brought there by her father when she was very, very young. When he arrived there with her, it all seems like it was very secretive. She doesn't remember anything about her time before showing up at this horse ranch. And her father always seemed very secretive. There are certain things she wasn't allowed to do. Kind of how he interacted with her was very interesting. Not that he was afraid of her, but more that like he had some access to some knowledge that she didn't have. Something weird has been going on with her father. But a few years back, her father had a stroke and has been incapacitated ever since because they don't go to doctors. They don't go to doctors. They don't believe in medicine. They don't go to the police. They don't believe in government. They kind of just like live off grid at this horse ranch where they've spent the majority of their life. So her father had a stroke years prior and has just kind of been sickly and needing to be cared for ever since. So that is our opening with Val. And then very quickly we are introduced to the theory about this TV show that used to exist, and it apparently was the longest running TV show of all time. It actually started off as a radio show at one point, but it was a children's TV show, and it had a main character named Mr. Magic, and then a group of kids called the Circle of Friends. Now, it sounds like a very Mickey Mouse / Barney situation. Mickey Mouse Club, I should say, Barney situation. But there is a lot of talk on the internet because something happened at one point, some tragedy, and the show no longer exists. But not only does the show no longer exist, but there's no record of the show. There's no clips on YouTube. Everybody on the internet has been doing these like deep dive searches trying to find out information about this. And there's a lot of people just wondering if everyone's having like a collective like hallucination, that they all remember this show, that there is no evidence of it ever existing. But all these people have very vivid memories of watching this show. In the opening of this book, Val's dad dies. And with her dad dead, they obviously have a funeral. Now, one of Val's dad's rules was that they were never allowed to like put out there what their names were, put their names on anything, let anybody know that where they were. And the woman that owns the ranch that Val lives on, when the funeral and everything happened, she put on her Facebook the name of her father and that they were having like what would it be? Is it a wake when everybody comes and like eats food? Anyways, put on the internet, and some people from Val's past show up. They have found her. They've been looking for her. The circle of friends is all getting back together, and Val just happened to find out at that very moment that she was in the circle of friends. But remember, Val has no memories of this TV show, of her life before the ranch, of any of it. So you are finding out about the TV show, about the other people, about what happened to Val before she got to the ranch at the same time as Val. I will say the creep factor in this, because there's some very like creepy imagery, but it's not necessarily gotten to a point that's scary. It's more unsettling. That was just my mouth having doing some sort of strange gymnastics move. I don't know what that was. The scare factor from this whole situation is actually coming from the fact that everything feels unsettling. Everything feels wrong. Everything feels uncanny, if that makes sense. There's a lot of things that you're there with Val feeling this sense of dread, but you don't know why. And you're slowly finding out things that nothing is making any sense yet, but it's not supposed to. You're supposed to be unsettled, and it is unsettling, kind of the lack of knowledge of what's going on, because nothing seems to feel right. Why does Val not have any memories of this? Why is there no evidence that this TV show ever existed? Who is Mr. Magic? What happened to end the show? You're all kind of waiting for these revelations, and you're just kind of getting really creeped out because everything feels very odd waiting for these revelations. I'm enjoying it so far. It's a fun little audiobook, and like I said, I like blasted through 20% of it like so fast. I also decided to pick up an ebook. I decided to go with the Hexologists by Josiah Bancroft. I got an ARC for this a while ago and had kind of started it, but really not gotten too far into it, so I just restarted it and got a decent way in, and I can tell you a little bit about that one too. It is the story of Iz and Warren, and they are a married couple in this call it steampunk influenced fantasy world, because some of the things that have been described feel very steampunk. Iz and Warren are hexologists, so they are investigators and they use magic. There are a lot of different types of magic in this world and they're all explained, but the kind of magic that Iz uses is hexology. There's a lot of like drawing runes on things and shapes to kind of get kind of like magical symbols to help them out with their investigation. The beginning of the story basically opens up with Iz and Warren in their home, and they have a guest who is someone that works for the royal family, and he is there to ask for their help. Now, Iz and Warren are not big fans of the royals. It doesn't sound like anybody is really big fans of the royals, but they also understand that sometimes the devil you know is better than the one you don't. So even though they're not usually the type that would take up a job from the king or any of his family members, they are asked to start an investigation about a letter that has been sent to the king. Ever since he has received this letter, he has been, for lack of a better way of putting it, he's been trying to end his own life. I'm making this sound like it's very dark. This book is very, very whimsical and kind of kooky in the best way possible. I think a lot of that kookiness is Warren and his personality. He's very easygoing, and not even easygoing, he's very personable. He seems to make friends wherever he goes, where Iz is much more cold and controlled, but they're very good together. They balance each other out. You have a mystery going on because you're with these two characters as they're trying to solve this mystery for the crown, even though they don't want to work for the crown. They know this is a good mystery, and honestly, it's a pretty good mystery. And we have been traveling with these two, trying to figure out about this letter that was sent to the king, who sent it, why they sent it, going into the king's past and investigating some of the accusations that are made in this letter. But in doing so, a lot of the conflicts that we are being introduced to are because of magic. There's different magical things. In the opening chapter, a magical creature kind of busts out of the basement and attacks everybody in the room. There's a lot of, someone is using magic against these two people who use magic to investigate. So it's kind of a detective story, but also quirky, fun husband and wife team, but also magic. It's fine. I'm having a good enough time with it. I'm really entertained. I have not, sorry, I put like a new, volumizer in my hair and it like made it sticky. It feels very sticky right now. It should not feel sticky. I have not picked up a physical book because I can't commit to a physical book right now. So we have an audiobook and an ebook going on. Hopefully I pick up a physical book sometime soon, because I do like a good physical book. Most of the time, I don't know. So far, so good. I mean, it's just the opening of the week and I've got 2 books going, even though I started off with absolutely no book situations happening. So I'm liking both these books so far. I'll check back in with you when I've made some progress on something.
So high, I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.
Man, I know. I look fantastic. But it is my day off and I don't feel like getting ready until I have to, which is soon. I have to get ready soon. But instead, I decided I'm gonna do my nails. But the reason you have been brought along for this experience is because I finished a book. I know. I finished Mr. Magic. I actually finished it yesterday and kind of decided to sit on it for just a second. I enjoyed this. I didn't love it. I liked it. But what I will say about this is, like, with my final thoughts on this, it was creepy. It was never really scary. And it was, again, another book where we are talking about something and we all know what we're talking about, but we're not really talking about that. We are using, obviously, the creepy, supernatural kids TV show that's kind of creepypasta in this situation to talk about an experience that the author had. When you listen to the acknowledgments, even though you've probably already come to the conclusion about what we're talking about in this book, the author comes right out and says, yep, We were talking about that. I saw someone describe this as it meets creepypasta, and I agree with that. Similar to, I've never read it, but I've seen several versions of I saw the Tim Curry version and I saw the most recent version with Bill Skarsgård. In both of those versions, and I'm sure the book too, it's about a group of adults who came together as children and they form this tight bond as children, and then they're coming back together as adults to work through something that they have completely forgotten about, and then through coming back together, remember. And this story is a little bit different in that the only one that is completely wiped clean what happened on this children's show is our main character, Val. But all of the other kids from the circle of friends also kind of have holes in their memory, and kind of coming together and joining back together is what's filling in those holes a little bit. The main theme of this book has a lot to do with religious trauma, indoctrination into religious cult-like behavior, how children are told that they are not good enough the way they are, that they need to adhere to these strict, most of the times very conservative views and fit themselves into molds instead of cultivating who they should be as people. That we put a lot of pressure on children, and that then people look back at childhood with a lot of nostalgia, with rose-colored glasses, and don't see some of the hardships that were even going on around them sometimes. Sometimes you view things from the past in a much more positive light than you actually had during the time. Also, childhood is hard. Childhood is hard. Keep that in mind. If you're dealing with a child today, remember, childhood is hard. I think that this was like sitting there watching the author pick through these parts of her brain. She was definitely letting you get a glimpse inside of things. Even though this isn't a memoir, this is basically her working through things on the page. And because of that, a lot of the moments are both extremely frustrated and very realistic, because our main character is having trains of thought that a person in these situations would most definitely have. And you're with the character the entire time, because things feel uncanny, things feel sinister, but yet you can't trust your own brain. You're going back and forth. Am I overreacting? Are they overreacting? Am I seeing too much into this? Is this creepy? This is creepy, right? I enjoyed it. It is definitely not horror. It is definitely like a supernatural thriller. I would definitely say if you are interested in the book and go through the entirety of the book, you should definitely spend the time to read the acknowledgments as well, because that was kind of wrapping it up with a nice little bow, at the end. I enjoyed it. I think I would read more from this author. I'm not interested in their other book though. I think it's called Hide, which is about like a haunted theme park. I had very, very mixed reviews on that, and I'm not really into that. Nothing about that really appeals to me, so I wouldn't really pick it up, but I will pick up more from this author because I definitely think that they got across what they were trying to get across. They succeeded in their goals. I was entertained. There was definitely some times where I was sitting there going, what the heck is even happening here? But you're supposed to feel that way. You are supposed to be kind of in the dark. I also got past. I believe I am past I'm at like the 70% mark. I'm definitely past the 50% mark in the Hexologists. And I'm really enjoying it, but I would say it's a little bit more of I'm going to use my peanut butter analogy here again. It's a little bit more crunchy peanut butter as far as like world understanding. I would not want to play this author in Scrabble, because there is definitely words where you're understanding what he's trying to say via context. But I'm glad I'm reading it on my Kindle, because there's a lot of words where I'm like, I don't know, just gonna double check. And I let, my Kindle give me the definition of a word, but that just says a lot about me. But it's actually highly enjoyable, and once you get into the groove of reading it, it's very compulsively readable. You don't want to put it down, especially because at the 50% mark, we have wrapped some things up in a bow, but you look at the like percentage of the book you're through and you're like, I don't think we are done with what we were doing, guys. I'm trying a new dip color today, and it is wrapped up here, hermetically sealed. Good Lord, let me in. There we go. But it's been a really fun time. I've been really enjoying it. I'm interested to see where it goes. The world itself is very interesting because it's very like steampunk-esque, but it's a fantasy world. So there's people that work magic. There's different types of people that work magic, but there's also just things that are kind of just casually thrown in that help build the world through passing through just kind of, oh yes, there just happens to be this magical creature that lives here that does this job, but it's so just a normal everyday thing for these people. that they're just like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'm enjoying that. I'm looking at picking up a new audiobook. I had a few holds come through the library while I was still reading or listening to Mr. Magic book. And so I bumped those and none of them have come back through. So I've just been kind of looking and seeing. As far as physical books, I have literally started like 25 of them. None of them have stuck. Don't know what my issue is, honestly. But I last night tried the Whispering Dark and have been enjoying that so far. It's very YA. There's definitely some things about it that are a little like cringy to me, but I'm enjoying the story. I'm having a good enough time. I think if I give myself a little while to get into it, I'll probably enjoy the heck out of it. Plus it takes place in like September, or at least it starts in September. So I gotta get into it. It's a fall time book. The fall times are gonna be here and gone before you know it. I'll let you know if I end up picking up another audiobook. I honestly should pick up another audiobook. Right now I'm procrastinating on everything and doing my nails. Do I still look like death? Yes, mind your business. We got a package. Let's open this bad boy up. The amount of tape on this is obscene. This package was definitely going to get to me. I'm gonna like cut myself open is the problem. This package was definitely going to get to me in one piece. Holy, I don't know what this tape is made of, but whoever invented it should get a raise. Oh. Inside a package. It's a package inside of a package. This is Shark Heart. I actually got this off Pango Books after I heard Jan. What is Jan's YouTube channel's handle? I'll put it up on the screen. You know who Jan is. Jan is a big deal. Jan read this book. I think she ended up liking it okay. I don't think she ended up loving it. But the way she described it, I was like, I need to be in on that nonsense. And then I found it on Pango for super cheap. So really, I saved money. Basically, the part that got me is this is the story of a married couple. And then the husband starts slowly turning into a shark. But they live in a world where this is something that happens. It's rare, but randomly, I'm assuming, people will start turning into different animals, and this man is turning into a shark. This also says a love story, which means it's not a romance. It's a love story, which means it's going to hurt. It's gonna make me cry. Sorry, I thought the book smelled weird, but I think it's just because I just finished my nails. Because I was like, this smells like a nail salon. It doesn't. It's my nails. But it sounded super weird. It sounded like, what is that movie that's super weird that I've seen one time? The Lobster, where you have to get married by a certain point in life. If not, you're turned into an animal of your choice. It sounds nothing like that, but I don't know why I was like, huh, wouldn't that be weird if you could choose what animal you turned into? This is a gorgeous debut novel of marriage, motherhood, metamorphosis, and letting go. This intergenerational love story begins with newlyweds, Wren and her husband Lewis, a man who, over the course of 9 months, transforms into a great white shark. It sounds super weird and I had to know what it was about. Also, this cover is kind of phenomenal. So, Pango Books for the win again. I don't need any more books. I don't know why I keep buying books. I need to read the books I have, but I don't. I keep buying them. Just thought I'd let you open a box with me because I just love opening a damn box with a book inside, you know? Bless you. You got the sneezes? Apparently, Winnie's a little upset because the puppy got to come with me to run errands. And so Winnie didn't get to come. So now Winnie has decided that she must be as close to me at all times as possible. We'll get over it in a minute, right? All right, I am here to round out this vlog because I have finished a while ago. Honestly, I'm going to be honest. I finished it a while ago, but I totally forgot to update you on it. So let's talk about it. I finished The Hexologist by Josiah Bancroft. I ended up giving this, I'm going to say 3.5. I think I went with 4 on Goodreads, but I'm going to say with some time to think on it, I think if it's more of a 3.5. I enjoyed this a lot, but I also felt like there were points in the story that felt like they were dragging on. A lot of that probably has to do with the fact that I'm not a big mystery type girly. And so I liked how things were tied back in. I liked how things that you thought were totally just, casual things mentioned ended up being part of the big reveal. I loved all of that. But I did feel like in the middle, when we hit like the 50% mark, we had solved some of the mystery, even though we're only halfway. There has to be more. And there is more. There's a lot more. I hope some of that rambling made some sort of sense. It's basically a mystery story with a husband and wife detective. They just happen to exist in a fantasy world, and they rely on some sort of magical things to help them solve the mystery. And there's also magical elements of the mystery itself. So there's lots of fantasy interwoven into this mystery story, and those were the parts I really enjoyed. I could see it being a TV show in my head, if that makes any sense. How the characters are introduced, how we go through different things, how some of the chapters start with, there's one chapter in particular where we start in the middle of the action and then we kind of rewind to that how did we get there type moment. It felt very much like a good TV show, and I enjoyed parts of it. I think that this author has got a vocabulary that should win awards. Some of the way I actually took the time. Hold on, I had an ARC copy, so I don't know if it's gonna let me look. How things were described in this were so a testament to this author being very good at their job, but also being very different from a lot of authors. I mean, I highlighted so many of these. The grand stair that cascaded and curled like a velvet avalanche from the atrium above was festooned with partygoers, some seated and whispering, others draped like drowsy cats between risers, still others saddled upon the marble banister and sliding down to a growing orgasmic pile. I mean, really? Tell me that does not set the scene. Or when Warren muses, does it ever feel like we're just straightening the picture frames on the walls of a burning house? I read in the paper yesterday that astronomers believe there are planets out there that don't ride on a rail around a star like our rock does. They call them nomads. These nomads are up there wandering without a sun to warm them, an orbit to guide them, or other worlds to keep them company. They just float around in the dark, aimlessly forgotten. These scientists think the galaxy might be full of them. All we will ever see are the stars, but the night sky is a crowded graveyard. Hi, Josiah Bancroft. You're really good at your job. You're really good at writing. I think the story itself was fine. I had a good time with it, but the writing was really, really impressive in this. I don't think it is the most accessible. No, that's not the right word. It's not the easiest flow to get into. Once you get into it, kind of the verboseness, the prose being what it is, that instead of saying the usual descriptors, a lot of things are just so well described in very interesting and different ways, is how I'll put it. I enjoyed it. I think I would continue on with this. I just can't say for sure. It wasn't a 4-star read for me, even though I put it as a 4-star read. Upon reflection, I enjoyed it enough. I would continue on, and I will definitely pick up more from this author. Now that I know his writing style, now I know how he writes. It's not going to be for everyone, and that's okay. But I'm glad I read it. I'm glad I finished a book. I'm glad I finished an arc, like a real reader does. That, kids, is where we are going to end this pizza party. I hope you had fun hanging out with me and the dogs, because it was a wild week. And what is time anymore, and how is it passing? It's almost Halloween, which means it's almost Christmas, which means it's almost the end of the year, which means it's almost Valentine's Day, which means it's almost the 4th of July. It's just, what is time? But if you had fun hanging out with me and the dogs, please subscribe. I hope you're reading good books out there, wherever you are, and I'll see you next time.